Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my weekly review of Showtime's Penny Dreadful. This week we've seen Season 3, Episode 5, which is called This World Is Our Hell. And I apologize for lateness, got home from work late tonight. I did manage to catch the replay of this. I did put this over Game of Thrones, as much as I really enjoy and have love for Game of Thrones. As I've said a couple weeks ago, Penny Dreadful is my priority over that at this point. But my Game of Thrones review will still be coming within the next couple days. I'm going to see Captain America Civil War tomorrow, so I might do a review on that, but then probably Tuesday, Wednesday is when I'll probably be putting out my review of Game of Thrones. Anyway, so this episode, going into it, like I said, I didn't watch the initial airing with everyone else. I've seen some people saying this was like the weakest of the season or something like that, and I heavily disagree. I honestly think this might have been one of the best episodes of the season so far, actually. I mean, we've only had 5, we're only getting 9, but we had a great episode last week with, Blade of Grass, which of course heavily focused on, Rory Kinnear's character, the creature, who not necessarily don't know who he exactly was in his past life, but we got the connection between him and Vanessa. I love the concentration on that. That was probably my favorite episode of the season so far overall, but this one is easily a close second or third, I think. I actually really like this episode quite a bit. The only gripe I have is that we didn't see any Vanessa. It was a little bit weird not to see Vanessa in this episode. I don't know if we had an episode without Vanessa at all in the series so far. Maybe we did, we might have, but still it felt a little bit weird not seeing her. But that initially bothered me because Vanessa's my favorite character, she's our lead on the show. But I was really impressed with and satisfied with what we got out of the Ethan storyline in this. We got some really interesting development of that. Ethan's even more interesting to me now. Vanessa's my favorite, my second, third, fourth favorites are always a little more questionable. Now it's probably Vanessa, Ethan, Sir Malcolm, Dr. Frankenstein, sort of mixed somewhere along there. And with the creature actually getting pretty close to, getting a little bit further on that too. But anyway, Ethan had some really interesting development in this episode. Of course, we finally met his father, Jared Talbot, who is played really, really well, by the way. Let me just look up the actor they have for him. I know he looks familiar. I know I've seen him somewhere else. Just give me a second. This review might not be as long as some of the other ones, but that's because it's going on 2 a.m. right now, and I have to be up pretty early for work tomorrow. Let me just see if I can find this real quick. Yeah, Brian Cox is the name of the actor who plays him here. Okay. He was in X-Men 2 United as William Stryker, actually. Now he looks... Yeah, that's right. He looks pretty damn familiar to me now. He was also in Troy. He was actually the first person to portray Hannibal Lecter, apparently, in the 1986 film Manhunter. A lot of people always talk about Anthony Hopkins, in his work as Hannibal initially. But apparently he played Hannibal, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, I think he's doing a really great job so far, and I honestly hope he's around for a while. I mean, with the way the pacing the story's going on now, I guess I won't be surprised if he's killed off by the finale, or before then, maybe. But I don't know. I hope we do get some good concentration between him and Ethan. We got a good amount of it in this episode, but I kind of want to see more of it. I just really like Brian Cox's performance as the character so far. I really like him and Ethan's back and forth, their history with each other. It's more layered than I thought it initially was. I expected something complex, but I didn't expect me to sort of understand his side of it so well. Especially in regards to his conflict with the natives, or the Apaches, I should say. But yeah, let me go through the episode real quick. Hecate was also a highlight of this episode, I want to say. I was interested in Hecate's direction this season because, with her being off alone with Ethan, I felt like it really opened up some opportunity to maybe make her character a little bit more layered and three-dimensional, instead of just being this another agent of the devil, simply wanting to take over her mother's place of power and rankings, from his perspective. And there appears to be more to her in this episode, so I'm really getting what I wanted. I was a little bit worried about her towards the end. I thought Sir Malcolm was just going to boom, which I kind of would have understood, but I find her pretty interesting, and I'm kind of curious to see where she's going to go for the rest of the season. Okay, let's have some order to this episode. I did take notes. Let's have some order to this review. I did take notes. Of course, Ethan and Hecate were still on the run. We guess, Verosk, he's telling the sheriff how he lost his hand during a battle. And, getting attacked did well, but, I don't really feel any sympathy for Rusk at this point. I understand, war, and I felt for that part, I guess, but, Rusk, I can't wait for him to die. Let's see, we get this moment where Hecate, she's sort of admiring this horse, she's petting it, sort of brushing it with her hand, caressing it. Ethan sort of even notices that, which I thought was kind of touching. In a way, okay, I'm not completely on Hecate's side now or anything, but, I'm curious enough to, and open-minded enough to sort of see, I don't know. I just think she's a more interesting, villainous character at this point, who may have more going on than we initially thought. She says she cares for animals because, they're not like humans, they're honest, they're simple in a way, they're not prone to all this betrayal, this, greed, all the sins of this world, basically, is how I understood it. They're simple, they're pure nature. So I really kind of like that. I thought that was some well-written stuff there, as Penny Dreadful is known for. Or as they should be known for. The fans know how incredible this show is, how well-written it is, but this show just deserves so much damn recognition. I say it every week. It's probably the best quality series that's on right now. No question about it to me, really. But anyway, I've talked about that I don't know how many times. I put it over Game of Thrones, for Christ's sake. I'm not really religious, by the way. That's not going to that right now, though. But no, it's not really for me. Anyway, but I put Penny Dreadful over Game of Thrones, so that has to tell you something about how highly I think of the show. I think. Let's see. Okay, cannot read my own writing again. Okay, so we get a scene of how he talks about how he killed these Apaches, with his father and his men, how he felt this extreme sense of remorse and guilt, and he came to, our main Apache here that we've met, who Wes Studi plays, Kaetenay? Again, I'm having trouble pronouncing his name. Then he basically went on his knees to him and begged to be killed, begged to be scalped, and then basically Kaetenay and the rest of them made Ethan fight for them, to sort of atone in a sense. And, he talks about, and this connects to something Ethan's actual father talks about later. It was, again, really well written, well acted. And Hecate, she ends up using this spell, using the power with Lucifer, and she makes these snakes come up from the sand, and she actually is able to end up killing most of the sheriff's men. And along with Sir Malcolm and Kaetenay actually getting pretty close, Sir Malcolm was able to shoot a handful of them down himself, which was pretty awesome to see. And before I get too much further into this, we also had, Victor and Dr. Jekyll. They continue to experiment on the guy we've been seeing them experiment with, and it seems like they've actually made some, real progress with it. It seems like he might have actually, been spun the right way this time. We'll see. Not too much more to say. There wasn't a whole lot that happened with that this episode, but still fine. Let's see. And Rusk, the guy that was with him, the guy that he brought with him, that we've seen with him since the character was introduced, he was actually one that ended up being shot by Sir Malcolm, and now he wants Ethan dead at this point. he doesn't really care to just take him in. He doesn't have that sense of just bringing him in to face what he believes he deserves. He says he'll even shoot him in the back if he gets the chance. So that'll make things a little more interesting for sure, but more intense than they already were. And this next scene I'm going to talk about surprised me a little bit. We get Ethan and Hecate, hanging out in this cave, and Ethan, there's these paintings on the wall, that tell a story. Ethan describes that to her, and Ethan actually ends up embracing sort of the darker side she keeps telling him about. She doesn't want him to, basically tell a story of this boy who at the start of time, he actually grew up and, was able to bring the day back and, push back the darkness, which is, really interesting way that they described it, not so simple and, weird like I just did. Hecate sort of asks him if he wants to be that person again during this time period, or if he wants to be one that, loves and, just indulges in the night and cherishes it. Ethan actually seems like he's tired of being good, he says, and he embraces it. Him and Hecate actually end up having sex, which is, let's see. And Hecate tells him that he has to say he is Lucifer's animal. I think she said after he kills his father or something like that. But again, this is still surprising. I figured Ethan was going to struggle with himself more. And it does bother me that Ethan and Hecate actually ended up having sex, just because of Ethan's strong connection to Vanessa and such. It's a little bit, disturbing in a way. But at the same time, look at how much Vanessa's been through, although different, although pretty much completely out of her control. I guess Ethan does have a right to sort of go through his trials and tribulations as well, as he's nearing us like such personal, story with him and such. But I still found it interesting, it did, irk me a little bit. This darker side of Ethan we're seeing here, it's making him even more interesting to me than he already was. It's making me care about his development more than I already did. And it just makes me more eager to see what he does. Of course, I think Ethan's ultimately gonna stay on our team Vanessa's side and such, but it's still interesting to see him go through this process anyway. The process seems to be not all that bad with Hecate. But yeah, let me keep going in the review. Let's see. Malcolm actually ends up finding Ethan, and I like their initial reunion, or their initial expressions with each other when they first looked at each other again, just this smile, and Ethan just says, "What the fuck are you doing here?" I don't know, I just got a little bit of a kick out of that. And Ethan, he was just walking through the desert. Him and Hecate were both sort of starting to fall. Ethan actually manages to carry her a little bit, which is really cool, well shot and stuff like that. And it's interesting to see that Ethan actually does care about Hecate to some significant degree at this point. And Hecate, she's barely alive. Sir Malcolm raises his gun, ready to put her down. And again, I would have understood him if he did. But Ethan, he actually gives her some of Malcolm's water, and he stops Malcolm from shooting her, saying if he does, it'll be the last thing he ever does. So really, their relationship's developed, hasn't it? But still, it was good yet intense to see that Malcolm and Ethan reunion. I do like their dynamic. It's good to see some of our main characters on the same screen again. It's been a great season, but I'm eager to see our characters come together again, which I'm sure we'll see within the last couple episodes at least. So that was really good. And of course, Ethan's father's men ended up taking all of them in, and they ask him what he wants to do with the Apache, Kaetenay, and he's dying of the snake bite. I forgot to mention that he was bitten during Hecate's attack on the camp. As he was slitting the guys' throats, he was bitten by the snake. Hecate was sending after all of them, and Ethan basically just tells him to leave them there, let him die slow. And we'll talk more about the conflict between Ethan and him, as well as what happened with his father and such in a second. And we meet Jared Talbot, like I said earlier, he's played really well. I like the actor playing him. I think he's doing a really nice job. Talbot, I like that the scene between Talbot and, or Jared and Malcolm, I should say. He even extends his sympathies about how he lost Mina. He seems to know who Sir Malcolm was, or is, I should say. And then, eventually it turns a little more intense. It seems like they're very divided on where they stand at certain things, as far as Ethan goes, and as far as, even gives him a special whiskey, which Malcolm seems to admire, but then I like how he eventually turns it around on him and says, your son hates you, and this and that. But the whiskey's fine. I like that quite a bit. But I thought the most interesting scene with Ethan's father, Jared, was when he and Ethan have that one-on-one with each other. He admits to understanding Ethan's hate towards him. He's pretty much damned to hell. But he's basically not regretful or remorseful of what he did. He knows it was bad what he did, but at the same time he's not really blaming himself for the reasoning behind it. And he just talks about how Kaetenay and his men, they actually came back in the way. They killed his family, and thus Ethan's biological family. Ethan, again, he was fighting alongside the Apache, but he had only agreed that they take his own family's weapons away to, of course, not slaughter them. Especially his mother and sister. And just to hear Jared describe that, describe what they did to his daughter, Ethan's sister, in front of him, was just really intense. The tongue being cut, the eyes being cut out in front of him, apparently. And just the way it sounded like he made it sound like Kaetenay relished in that, and just really just embrace such darkness was really something really disturbing to hear about. And we're supposed to look at Kaetenay as this wise figure that, at the same time, it seemed like he took things a bit too far, but then again, it was for his people. So we really are getting both sides of it, and I really like how it's being shown here. Like I said, I didn't really expect to understand Ethan's father too much at all, or, get him, but I kind of do at this point. And, he basically tells Ethan he has to, beg for forgiveness and, completely go alongside him again. Ethan says, I'm done repenting, and I belong in hell. And we see his father, pull back the gun, click it, and then that's where the credits roll. But, yeah, so those are my thoughts on the episode. Really good one. I was pleasantly surprised by how good this one ended up being again. But then again, I probably shouldn't be surprised that every episode of Tornado Red Bull is good, which it is. But this is even one above my expectations for the one this week. Excuse me. The only gripe I really have is that we didn't see Vanessa. But, it looks like we're going to be getting plenty of concentration on her next week, where she's, looking into Dracula and such. So maybe it's a good idea that we didn't, just get some scenes of that or something. I'm glad maybe in a way we did get some concentration that wasn't on her, because we had all the time, just singularly focused on her and, the creature and Lucifer and Dracula last week, so maybe it makes sense that we would just get the focus on this particular part of the story. So I did get it, but still missing Vanessa, but I love the dynamic between Ethan and his father. Really interesting, really well acted, like the guy they have for Jared, like the actor for him. Hecate was really, interesting in this episode. Good to see Malcolm and Ethan reunite. But yeah, so let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Again, apologize for the lateness, but I gotta get to work in the morning, and turns out the review's, longer than I planned on anyway. But hey, I just love talking about the show. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and look for me on SpoiledDead.com. Catch you guys next time, and peace. At least she's on the poster in the background.